Hey ladies, tonight's call or tonight's topic is all about Magnesium 101 and how this helps us when we are considering women's health. So, why are we talking about magnesium? So, firstly, magnesium has been talked about lots. Again, whether it's online or social media, or maybe you're just sort of concerned about it and you're not really sure what it does and why we might need to consider it. So, firstly, I just want to explain that magnesium is not here to burn fat, but what it does is it quietly supports the things that help you lose fat. And so, when I mean that, it's going to help you stay consistent by affecting the other things like better sleep, more stable moods, fewer cravings, less bloating, and improved recovery. So we know that by tackling those few areas, it's going to allow us to become consistent, and then it will have a knock-on effect in terms of how it helps us lose fat. So it's not just like a trendy new detox mineral or anything like that. It's actually something that our body uses every single day, and we are talking about it because unfortunately many women are just not getting enough for them, right? So, thinking about what magnesium actually does. So, thinking of magnesium as being a helper. So, it's going to be involved in hundreds of jobs within your body, almost like a behind the scenes type assistant, ensuring that everything is, running smoothly. And when we're thinking about the key main things that it helps with, so firstly, it's helping with energy production. So it's going to help turn your food into stable, into usable energy. It's actually a muscle relaxation and recovery responsible for that. And then also, really important, it's actually very important for nerve function and stress responses as well. So, again, this is where you might see it being recommended for things like sleep and anxiety as well, and blood sugar control. So, again, if it's helping with that, this might help affect the way that you're managing your cravings and potential fatigue as well. And then important in bone strength as well, because it works with vitamin D and calcium as well. And then most importantly, and very specific for us women, it's important for our hormonal balance and our menstrual comfort. So we'll talk about that as well in a little bit more detail. But again, just to kind of let you know that it's not, I'm not claiming that magnesium is going to fix your problems. And anything that I talk about when we think about supplements, it's not a fixer, but it's good to note that if your body is running low on something, it's us trying to obviously help do the job with running it better, right? I wanted to talk about a few other bits as well. So magnesium is important because it also helps activate the enzymes that are involved in protein synthesis. So this is how it's going to actually help when you are building or retaining lean muscle mass as well. So it's going to help us with that. And then it's again, this stuff you might not need to know specifically, but I thought it would be worth mentioning. But regulates DNA, so it's actually affecting cell growth and reproduction as well. So again, more behind the scenes stuff. And as we move on, just to kind of again, this is one of the reasons why I've sort of mentioned it is most women probably aren't getting enough. So in terms of the UK and the national diet surveys, women show that they don't actually hit the recommended magnesium intake. And for women, that is 270 milligrams per day. Now, this is going to be especially important for those of us, for those women, or for us women, because we should be training regularly. So it's really important that we are engaged in physical activity and training. So it's important there. And if you are in a phase within your fitness journey where you are in a calorie deficit, so again, when we are in a calorie deficit, although we're using that deficit to help us with things like fat loss, the issue does happen where we can become deficient in things as well. So it's not just about eating less and thinking the body's going to run. There's actually all these other really small micro, things that we need to make sure we're sufficient in. Also noting that if you don't really include any things like nuts or seeds or legumes, or even like leafy veg, then again, you might not be getting enough. Potentially, if you're drinking a lot of caffeine or alcohol as well, that can disrupt, again, your ability to maybe even hold on to enough. And experiencing regular bloating or any gut issues. So again, when we're thinking about gut issues, quite often people will say this is the reason why they can't lose weight. It could be that, again, it's that they're retaining more water as a result of that bloating. There could be some inflammation as well that's sort of being experienced as well. But it's also just to know that when people have gut issues that relate to maybe not digesting food that well and it just literally you're pooing more, then you're not really utilizing the nutrients. Again, it's all about the absorbability of these nutrients that we're eating and how that affects the gut as well. We could actually end up being deficient in things, and obviously it can, in some cases, lead to sort of weight loss. Not a good idea to do it or not a good way to get weight loss anyway. But just wanted to kind of add that in. So when we are thinking about what magnesium or low magnesium might feel like, and maybe even thinking about things like deficiencies as well, again, just to kind of tell you that I'm not diagnosing what you may have or may not have, but there are some common signs that I might, that might suggest that magnesium could be low. And this is where you would take the sort of the testing. And again, if you try and take some of the tips on that I apply within this topic, great, and it works. If not, then obviously this is where it does require GP intervention for sure. But yeah, poor sleep or waking up tired. So let's say you're actually getting full sleep or disrupted sleep. So that could be potentially an indication of low magnesium. The cramps, tension, and restless legs. Remember when I talked to you about the nervous system as well, and sort of the nerve function, and again relating to sort of the way that our stress responses are out as well. So again, these things with the poor nerve function that can maybe lead to more, the cramps, maybe even like the anxiousness. So it's sort of maybe triggering some of that sort of stress as well, more than usual. This is an interesting one. Chocolate or salty cravings, especially before your period. Now, I'm sure you may have heard this, but maybe even having a bit of dark chocolate before you have your period is a good idea. Well, that's usually because of the magnesium that it's kind of recommended as a little tip. Again, so those could be things that might indicate low, low magnesium. And also, when it comes to maybe even thinking along the same lines of that, but if there is like this weakness or like fatigue or like heaviness as well, there might be a deficiency. And also, another study I'm actually having a look at here is that the low magnesium might coincide with sort of there's an association with actually having low calcium as well and low potassium again. So that might be worth noting that these things don't just come and go on their own. It can be sometimes accompanied by other issues. And we kind of talked about this as well, but again, if you've got like constipation or like bloating, maybe there's an issue with magnesium. Again, we talked about low energy despite sort of eating and training, and maybe you're sort of easily overwhelmed. Isn't it interesting how chemically affected we are as women and as females as well? That all these little small little things that we often forget about. We are not just made of blood, bones, and body fat with some muscle. There's like so many other things going on within our bodies as well. So all this sort of chemical makeup of all these, you know, vital nutrients as well, micronutrients that we need to consider. So then we're going to think about the when it comes to the menstrual cycle. Again, the week before your period, Shark Week, magnesium needs might actually increase. And if it increases, it means that you need more. And again, this can be especially notable if you are getting mood swings, bloating, cramps, or again, even the cravings as well, as we've said. And yeah, what magnesium has been shown, supplementation has been shown to do is support mood and calmness, help reduce the bloating and any fluid retention, help reduce your sort of PMS related anxiety, irritability, support better sleep and less tension. So again, it's so easy for us to kind of go, oh my God, I need this like full hormonal overhaul. Like I need to fix everything. It's like actually sometimes it's about giving your body what it actually needs. So again, this period of time, again, menstrual cycle, luteal phase, late luteal phase, this is where it might be necessary to start including or increase the amount of sort of magnesium type foods that you're having. And again, when we're thinking about opting for food, when it comes to magnesium, so thinking more easy swaps and additions, we've got pumpkin seeds, and again, you can kind of top your oats or yogurt with that as well. And this is not like pouring 100 grams in; it's literally having a sprinkle, so it might even amount to like 5 grams. Increasing spinach or kale, adding these things so again to your stir fries, your curries, your smoothies, so sort of adding in that volume as well to meals. We don't just want to kind of think slabs of protein only. You want to kind of think about building your plate around all these sort of micronutrient rich foods as well. Tofu or tempeh as well. We mentioned dark chocolate again, so anything that's sort of more like 70% plus. Oats, lentils, black beans, so again, that's your legumes, avocados, magnesium, bananas as well, whole grain or seeded bread as well. I love the Jason bread that's out there right now. That stuff's really good. They've really kind of ticked off quite a few different boxes with that. The protein bread actually has pea protein within this. It's not just made of wheat, which I think adds to the protein buffer in that. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, you can't do any wrong by adding some of these foods into your diet. And a lot of these foods are very sort of, again, they're high fiber, they're plant-based options. And maybe it's a reminder as well, if you're not actually eating enough of these, again, it might be a reason why your magnesium intake might be lower than ideal. Ladies that have joined, stay muted for me, but also just to let you know, we will hang around after this call as well, just kind of a chat. So, should you actually go and use a supplement? So, firstly, yes, you can get enough magnesium via your food. But there might be times you might need to opt for a supplement. So again, you've got you're struggling with your sleep. You've tried everything else. Again, maybe you are experiencing that sort of back end of that sort of nerve function uh, disruption as well. So again, more anxious and restless at night. Again, related to nerve function, getting tight muscles and cramps very often. Maybe you're in a deficit. All right. So again, we talked about being in a calorie deficit is not just there to help fat loss. When you are in a calorie deficit, you're more likely to be deficient as well in micronutrients. They're often, again, an afterthought. Because you are consuming less, this is probably a good time to kind of opt for having, multivitamins or supplements there for as well. So even things like iron and stuff, if you're low on those bits. I actually have a better for you iron spray that I kind of use when I'm due on, and yeah, that kind of helps, especially when it comes to that sort of menstrual related blood loss. And yeah, again, when it comes to your period symptoms being tough to manage. So next, we're going to talk about the types of magnesium. So again, if you go on Google and you search up magnesium, there's all these like weird names after magnesium, and you have no idea what some of them do. Well, here we go. Magnesium oxide tends to be the most common one, and this one again, it's not actually well absorbed. And one of the girls inside the program recently has sort of stopped taking magnesium. Now she was taking again, maybe what she felt like was quite trusted, a good, good brand name and etc. But she was having magnesium oxide and experiencing looser stools, for example. So again, is it that it was just not really well absorbed? And yeah, as I've said, a bit of a laxative. So that obviously wasn't helpful. And I think some of these other forms of magnesiums can be quite difficult to kind of weed out and find. So again, we can kind of do some searches if you are interested in supplementing magnesium glycinate. I will give you a recommendation for a great company as well on the next slide, and that the magnesium glycinate is the one that you want to have for sleep, stress, and calmness. And then you've got magnesium citrate again, which is going to help with digestion and regularity. Again, could this be another thing where maybe you're having too much and it's giving you upset tummies? Just by taking a supplement doesn't mean you're fixing something. I did mention that earlier. So it's just important to know that be mindful in terms of how you dose as well. Again, I talked about earlier that the recommended reference nutrient intake for women is 270 milligrams thereabouts. So again, just kind of play around with smaller doses to start with. And we've obviously got here magnesium malate, which is energy production and fatigue support. So dosing, again, anywhere sort of, 200 to 300 milligrams. So if the normal recommendation is sort of 270, maybe again starting even at 150 and seeing what that does for you. Track how you feel. Again, if you want to journal your sleep, your digestion, your mood. And actually, another point I want to make as well, and I think this is a really good idea that you girls utilize this as well, is where we've got food journal within the app. I know that those are often reserved for when you are having like diet breaks, and we're kind of just going more for food reporting. Maybe even use it just to kind of journal how you're feeling as well. So we've got that like documented, like great. If you tell me via WhatsApp, that's awesome. But also sometimes maybe you don't want to have a conversation about it and you just want to jot it down somewhere, then that's a good place to kind of go. And yeah, trusted brand, Viridian are great. They're really cool. They're I think they can be again found in Holland and Barrett and some of those shops, but you can order directly from Viridian. I've met reps that have worked with directly with from Viridian, like employed by Viridian, and again they speak highly of the product. I use like Viridian vitamin D, for example. I've always just liked the way that the products are accessed. So yeah, that's a good brand to kind of go for as well. And again, just to kind of clear this up, myth-wise, okay, we're not talking about magnesium for fat loss. We're not saying that it's going to directly burn fat, but if it can control all those other areas that we talked about at the beginning, so again, your sleep, stable mood, fewer cravings, less bloating, improved recovery, maybe that can have an effect on our ability to be consistent, which will indirectly help us lose or burn fat. And again, it's not going to fix your sleep if you're drinking 4 cups of coffee a day. Maybe that's something we need to address first. Maybe even thinking about caffeine timing as well when we stop drinking caffeine, because caffeine actually stays in your system and it has a half-life. You don't need to have the strongest magnesium out there. Again, it's not just about shooting for the highest amount. Thinking about the right form that we want to use in terms of what we want to use it for, seeing if we can obviously always go natural first. I can't tell you what specific compounds. Again, I believe with the magnesium into split into those different types of compounds that those have been tested to help different areas, and that's what they've found. That's the outcome they found. But in relation to food, I know that the food generally is a thing that contains magnesium, so maybe that's a better fix to kind of go for first. And yeah, it can help make everything else feel a little bit easier. And again, the main thing is supporting consistency and not trying to make miracles happen. So thinking about how we might do this in terms of like food ideas. Maybe you might go for, again, you might sort of add some spinach and tofu to a meal 3 times a week. Maybe that might help you with sort of less bloating and more energy. Again, these are just very ideas. Maybe you decide to supplement with magnesium glycinate, and as a result, you get better sleep in your luteal phase. So that's the phase, the late luteal phase, right before you Shark Week. As a result, maybe fewer cravings. Maybe you might try the dark chocolate or the dark cocoa boost again, having it with your smoothie for magnesium boost as well. And yeah, just to summarize, magnesium helps with energy, recovery, sleep, digestion, and mood. Again, many women fall short, especially if you're training, because you'll need more. And if you're dieting, you're probably intaking less. And again, dealing with PMS, it can help if you're deficient or if you're low on it. And always choose food as your first step. So again, adding leafy greens, beans, and seeds. Consider a supplement if symptoms are really noticeable or your intake is low because of the symptoms, and track how you feel and then give it a go. But yes, ladies, I hope that was helpful. After watching this video, make sure you send me a message. We can have a chat about what options you might need to take moving forward. But yeah, we will see you here next time.